When you think about the greatest player in a franchise's history, a lot of the time your mind goes straight to the team's all-time leading goal scorer. Goals define eras, and the players who score the most often leave the biggest mark in their team's history. In this video, I'm going to break down every NHL franchise's all-time leading goal scorer. Just to be clear, we're only counting the goals these players scored with their team, not anything they did before joining or after leaving. Seattle Kraken, Jared McCann with 118 goals. The Seattle Kraken are still very new, so it's no surprise their leading goal scorer has the fewest goals on this list. Jared McCann, drafted 24th overall by Vancouver in 2014, has bounced around through Florida and Pittsburgh before Seattle claimed him via the 2021 expansion draft. In Seattle's second season, he erupted for 40 goals, setting the single-season franchise record. As of the conclusion of the 2024-25 season, McCann has scored 118 regular season goals for the Kraken, surpassing all other players in this young franchise. McCann's arrival in Seattle didn't immediately scream franchise cornerstone, but with strong two-way play, an accurate shot, and clutch performances like stepping up in critical moments, he's become that and more. He's also taken on leadership roles, wearing the A and being a go-to option on both power play and penalty kill. Vegas Golden Knights, Jonathan Marchessault, 192 goals. Jonathan Marchessault worked his way through the minor leagues, got some NHL chances, and eventually found himself chosen by Vegas in the 2017 expansion draft. After a breakout 30-goal season with Florida, since then, he became Vegas' most consistent offensive threat, at least until he left for Nashville. By the end of the 2023-24 season, Marchessault had recorded 192 regular season goals as a Golden Knight. What makes him more than just a scorer is his versatility and flair, wraparounds, clutch playoff moments. He also stepped up as a leader on and off the ice. The 2023 run, where he won the Conn Smythe Trophy while lifting the Stanley Cup, perhaps best captures how far his career arc has come. While he's no longer in Vegas, fans will always appreciate him for his contributions early to this franchise's success. Minnesota Wild, Marian Gaborik, 219 goals. When the NHL expanded into Minnesota in 2000, bringing back hockey to the state, fans were looking for someone who could deliver moments of magic. Marian Gaborik was drafted 3rd overall in that first Wild draft, and he delivered. He scored the franchise's very first goal, and over time became their first true superstar, compiling 219 regular season goals with the Wild. His speed, his footwork, and the way he could turn games around made him beloved. In 2007, he scored 5 goals in one game against the Rangers. Injuries dogged him throughout his career, missing chunks of seasons, but when healthy, he was an offensive juggernaut. He helped lead Minnesota to the Western Conference Final in 2003, and though he played later for other teams and won a Stanley Cup with the Kings in 2014, in Minnesota, his name still represents the first era of hope and elevated expectations in that franchise. Florida Panthers, Alexander Barkov, 286 goals. Sasha Barkov was drafted 2nd overall in 2013, a quiet but mature Finnish center whose style has grown into one of the most complete in the league. As of the end of the 2024-25 season, Barkov has scored 286 regular season goals for Florida, the most by any Panther in team history. Barkov's excellence isn't just measured in goals. He's a defensive anchor, a great player on the power play, and the captain. He led Florida to their first Stanley Cup in 2024 after back-to-back finals appearances, and then he repeated again in 2025. He has also earned recognition for his two-way game and leadership, including winning the Selke Trophy, awarded to the best defensive forward. His path from a rebuilding Panthers team to champion leader is ongoing, and his current tally only acts as a marker of what's already been accomplished and what remains to be written. Columbus Blue Jackets, Rick Nash, 289 goals. Rick Nash was drafted 1st overall in 2002, and for much of the 2000s, his name was synonymous with the Blue Jackets' identity. With towering presence, a heavy shot, and scoring flair, Nash put up 289 regular season goals with Columbus, still the franchise high. At age 19, he tied for the Rocket Richard Trophy with 41 goals in 2003-2004. On a team that otherwise didn't win much, showing his individual brilliance from early on. He captained the Jackets to their first playoff appearance in 2009, though they were swept in that series. Despite trades later in his career to New York, Boston, and beyond, those years in Columbus defined him. Nash's goals were often highlight-worthy, breakaways, one-timers, and power play goals. To fans, his number is not just a record, it's the benchmark of what a star can do, even in a young franchise. Nashville Predators, Philip Forsberg, 318 goals. Philip Forsberg has become the face of Nashville hockey and now sits atop the franchise record books with 318 regular season goals, passing David Legwin's long-standing mark. Drafted 11th overall by Washington in 2012 and traded to Nashville in a deal that has gone down as one of the biggest deals in NHL history, Forsberg has grown into the Predators' most consistent offensive force. His scoring touch is balanced by his creativity and his ability to deliver in clutch moments. In 2023-24, he set the single-season franchise record with 48 goals, solidifying his reputation as a true sniper. Forsberg's ability to generate offense, both at even strength and on the power play, make him indispensable. and his role in leading Nashville's playoff pushes underscores his value. Beloved by the Nashville faithful, Forsberg represents the Predators' evolution from scrappy expansion underdogs into a respected perennial contender, at least until the past couple of years where they haven't been as good. His goals don't just break records, they set the tone for the next era of Predators hockey. Carolina Hurricanes, Eric Staal, 322 goals. Eric Staal was drafted second overall in 2003 and almost immediately showed flashes of being more than just another young forward. In his 2005-06 season, his second full year, he scored 45 goals and played a decisive role in the Hurricanes' march to their first Stanley Cup. Late season heroics, clutch goals, and playoff drive. Over 12 seasons in Kane sweaters, Staal amassed 322 regular season goals, the most in franchise history. He was more than just a scorer, he captained, demonstrated leadership in the community, and provided stability during these years. Notably, in his tenure with the Hurricanes, he signed a one-day contract to retire with them in 2024, and the organization recently retired his number. Winnipeg Jets, Mark Scheifele, 336 goals. Drafted 7th overall in 2011, Scheifele spent his entire career in Winnipeg and has become the heart of the modern Jets. On February 25th, 2025, he scored his 329th career goal, surpassing Ilya Kovalchuk as the franchise's all-time leader in goals. A milestone that marked not just his consistency, but his longevity as the cornerstone of Winnipeg's lineup. While Kovalchuk brought flash and explosive scoring to the Thrashers era, Scheifele's loyalty, productivity, and drive in Winnipeg that ultimately pushed him to the top of the record books. His legacy continues to grow as the Jets build around his leadership and offensive production. Vancouver Canucks, Daniel Sedin, 393 goals. Drafted second overall in 1999, just one slot after his twin brother Henrik. It took time to find consistency. Once he did, he became known for his smart shot selection, off-puck movement, and ability to finish. He recorded 393 regular season goals for the Canucks, making him their all-time leader in goals. He won the Rocket Richard Trophy in 2011, tied with several others, and helped drive the Canucks to a Stanley Cup final appearance that same year. Though the Canucks lost in Game 7, that era remains one of their most memorable. Daniel's loyalty, as he stayed with the team throughout his career, made him beloved. After retirement, his name is often brought up in greatest Canucks ever conversations, not only for his goals, but the style and consistency he brought over nearly 2 decades. Arizona Coyotes, Shane Doan, 402 goals. He was drafted 7th overall by the original Winnipeg Jets in 95, and when the franchise relocated to Phoenix in 96, he moved with it and grew into its heart and soul. Over 21 seasons with the Jets-Coyotes franchise, he scored 402 regular season goals, which remains the franchise high. Doan wasn't always the most prolific, but what distinguished him was his leadership, durability, and longevity. He captained the team for many seasons, logged multiple 20-goal campaigns, and even in down years was the face of stability. In 2012, under his captaincy, the Coyotes made a surprising deep run to their Western Conference Final. Off the ice, Stone was a community figure in the Phoenix area and respected throughout the league. His number and legacy are deeply tied to Coyotes' identity, even though they're now in a different place once again. New York Rangers, Rod Gilbert, 406 goals. Rod Gilbert was drafted in 1960 by the Rangers and became one of the most elegant forwards of his generation. Over 18 seasons, all with New York, he tallied 406 regular season goals, making him their all-time leader in that category. He played on the famous gag line, goal a game, alongside Jean Rattel and Vic Hadfield, helping the Rangers reach the Stanley Cup final in 1972. Gilbert was less about flash and more about precision, consistency, and clutch moments. His number was the first to be retired by the Rangers, and even after his playing days, he stayed deeply involved in the team's community. He is often remembered as one of the most beloved players in Rangers history. New Jersey Devils, Patrick Elias. Drafted in 94, Elias was the offensive engine of the Devils during a time when the franchise was known for its defensive systems and goaltending mastery. Over his 20-year career entirely with Jersey, Elias scored 408 regular season goals, the most in Devils history. He was part of multiple cup runs, won 2 Stanley Cups, 2000 and 2003, and was always a fan favorite for his clutch performances. Though the Devils weren't always in the limelight, his consistency kept them competitive. Philadelphia Flyers, Bill Barber, 420 goals. Barber was drafted in 72 and became a key component of the classic Flyers teams of the mid-70s. Over 12 seasons, all in Philadelphia, he scored 420 regular season goals, making him the franchise leader in that category. Barber had the knack for finding open ice, finishing in tight situations, and contributing offense even in a rugged, physical team style. He played alongside Bobby Clarke and Reggie Leach in a team that blended toughness with scoring punch. His contributions were instrumental in the Flyers' Stanley Cup wins in 74 and 75. Barber wasn't only about goals, he had strong all-around play, leadership, and was seen as one of the more polished forwards of his era. Toronto Maple Leafs, Mats Sundin, 420 goals as well. Originally drafted first overall in 89 by the Quebec Nordiques, he was later traded to Toronto in 94, becoming the first European captain in Leafs history, a significant cultural milestone. Sundin combined size at 6'5" with high hockey IQ, a strong wrist shot, and clutch timing. Wasn't always flashy, but over 18 seasons with Toronto, he delivered in key moments, led by example, and carried the expectations that come with a historic franchise in a demanding hockey market. His leadership helped the Leafs reach multiple deep playoff runs, even as the cup remained elusive. Off the ice, his legacy is honored. His number 13 was retired by the club, and his total goals and points still stand as benchmarks for all future Leaf stars. In all likelihood, Auston Matthews will break this record this season, as he only needs 19 more goals to tie and 20 to take the lead. Ottawa Senators, Daniel Alfredsson, 426 goals. Alfredsson was drafted in '94 and became the face of the modern Senators. Alfredsson's skill, vision, and leadership helped Ottawa transition from an expansion club into a legitimate contender. He captained the Sens to a 2007 Stanley Cup final and won the Calder Trophy as Rookie of the Year in '96. Though he finished his career in Detroit, Alfredsson remains Ottawa's defining player, with his number 11 retired by the franchise. Anaheim Ducks, Teemu Selänne. The Finnish Flash holds the Anaheim Ducks franchise record for goals with 457. Drafted 10th overall in 1988 by Winnipeg, he moved to Anaheim in '96, where his speed, scoring flair, and his infectious energy helped transform the franchise's identity. In his first full seasons there, he teamed with Paul Kariya to form one of the league's most exciting duos. Selänne's rookie NHL season in '92 and '93 with Winnipeg is still legendary. He had 76 goals, 132 points, which are both rookie records. While he wasn't with Anaheim for this, it's still worth mentioning. He won the Stanley Cup with Anaheim in 2007 and was highly productive well into his late 30s and early 40s, and remained a fan favorite through consistent clutch performances. His number 8 was the first jersey retired by the Ducks, and his name remains synonymous with Anaheim hockey. Buffalo Sabres, Gilbert Perreault, 512 goals. Perreault was the first draft pick in Sabres history in 1970 and became their offensive cornerstone. Over 17 seasons in Buffalo, he scored 512 regular season goals. As the centerpiece of the legendary French Connection line with René Robert and Rick Martin, Perreault dazzled with speed, hands, and creativity. He helped lead Buffalo to its first Stanley Cup final in 1975. Perreault's artistry on the ice made him a fan favorite and one of the NHL's most graceful players. His number 11 was the first jersey retired by the Sabres. San Jose Sharks, Patrick Marleau, 522 goals. Marleau defined the Sharks for 2 decades. Drafted 2nd overall in '97, he became the face of San Jose's rise from expansion team to perennial playoff contender. Across 21 seasons with the Sharks, Marleau scored 522 regular season goals, making him their all-time leader. His game was built on speed, durability, and consistency, and while he was rarely flashy, he was always effective. Though Marleau never captured a Stanley Cup in teal, his leadership and loyalty helped shape San Jose into a respected franchise. He also broke Gordie Howe's record for most NHL games played with 1,779, cementing his place in league history. Calgary Flames, Jarome Iginla, 525 goals. Iginla was the heart and soul of Calgary hockey. Drafted 11th overall in '95, he was a complete player, a scorer, playmaker, physical presence, and leader. He won the Rocket Richard Trophy twice, and he was the driving force behind Calgary's run to the 2004 Stanley Cup final. Off the ice, he was respected league-wide for his sportsmanship and community work, and his legacy in Calgary is enduring as both his number 12 and his impact as one of the game's great power forwards. St. Louis Blues, Brett Hull, 527 goals. Brett Hull, son of Bobby, became one of NHL's deadliest snipers during his prime time with St. Louis. From '88 to '98, he lit the lamp 527 times for the Blues, and that's still their all-time franchise mark. Hull's shot was quick and heavy and accurate and made him nearly unstoppable. His '90-91 season remains iconic with 86 goals, which was the 3rd highest single-season total in NHL history. Though he later won Stanley Cups with Dallas and Detroit, his best individual years were in St. Louis, where scoring made him one of the most feared forwards of his era. Montreal Canadiens, Maurice Rocket Richard, 544 goals. The player who has an award named after him for most goals in the season. Richard was the first player in NHL history to score 50 goals in 50 games and finished his career with 544 regular season goals, all for the Canadiens. Playing from 1942 to 1960, Richard became a symbol of Quebec pride and hockey excellence. He won 8 Stanley Cups and electrified fans with his fire, scoring touch, and competitive spirit. The Rocket wasn't just a scorer, he was a cultural icon. His number 9 was retired by Montreal, and like I mentioned, all these years later, the annual award for the league's top goal scorer is still named after him. Boston Bruins, Johnny Bucyk, 545 goals. Johnny Chief Bucyk played 21 seasons in Boston, and even with the storied history and all the great players that came after him, he still leads them with 545 goals. Acquired from Detroit in 1957, Bucyk became a steady, reliable forward known for his consistency and leadership. His career highlight came in the early 70s when he captained the Bruins to 2 Stanley Cups. His loyalty to Boston made him a franchise icon, and today's number 9 hangs in the rafters at TD Garden as a symbol of Bruins tradition. Dallas Stars, Mike Modano, 557 goals. Drafted 1st overall in '98, he became the face of US hockey and the Dallas Stars franchise. Across his career, he scored 557 regular season goals with the Stars/North Stars. and his speed, skill, and effortless skating made him one of the most dynamic American players ever. He helped lead Dallas to its first Stanley Cup in '99 and represented the franchise for over 2 decades. His number 9 jersey is retired in Dallas, where he remains a beloved figure. Los Angeles Kings, Luc Robitaille, 557 goals. Drafted 171st overall in '84, he was one of the greatest steals in NHL history. Despite questions about his skating, Robitaille quickly proved himself as one of the league's most gifted natural scorers. Over 14 seasons in Los Angeles, he became their leading goal scorer. Known for his quick release, soft hands, and ability to score from seemingly impossible angles, he was just a consistent offensive force during an era where the Kings transformed from a struggling franchise into a legitimate contender. He was a key part of the '93 team that reached the Stanley Cup final, helping put Los Angeles hockey on the map alongside Wayne Gretzky. New York Islanders, Mike Bossy, 573 goals. Bossy was everything you expect from a scoring legend and then some. Drafted 15th overall in '77. In just 10 seasons, he scored 573 regular season goals for the Islanders. His goal per game rate was nearly unmatched. Bossy never scored fewer than 50 goals in his first 9 seasons. Sharp release, deadly one-timers, and dynamic offensive instincts powered the Islanders' dynasty. 4 straight Stanley Cups from '80 to '83, plus another final in '84. Though his career was cut short by back injuries, his efficiency and consistency is the reason that even in that short time, he's the Islanders' leading goal scorer. Edmonton Oilers, Wayne Gretzky, 583 goals. Gretzky wasn't just the Edmonton Oilers' leading goal scorer, he was the leading goal scorer until just months ago. If you're watching a hockey video, you obviously know who he is, but let me give some more background. The Great One between '79 and '88 scored 583 regular season goals for the Oilers, and his arrival coincided with the Oilers' rise from WHA roots to NHL dominance. He reshaped the game with his vision, anticipation, and uncanny ability to cheat time and space, but also with incredible goal-scoring seasons such as the '81-82 season, in which he netted 92 goals, which still is the NHL single-season record. With teammates like Yari Curry, Mark Messier, Paul Coffey, and Glenn Anderson, Gretzky led the Oilers to 4 Stanley Cups in 5 years. Even when he left in '88, his imprint was there. Every Oilers goal scorer since is measured against this benchmark. His legacy isn't just in 583 goals with Edmonton, it's in redefining what a goal-scoring leader could be. Chicago Blackhawks, Bobby Hull, 604 goals. Bobby Hull changed the way the game was played for the Chicago Blackhawks. Signed in '57, Hull combined jaw-dropping speed and a slapshot that was feared league-wide. Over his time in Chicago, he scored 604 regular season goals, making him the all-time Blackhawks goal leader. His 65-66 season, for example, saw him score 54 goals in just 70 games, an exceptional rate at a time when seasons were shorter and scoring was generally a little lower. Hull's impact wasn't just on the score sheet, he helped lead the Blackhawks to their 1961 Stanley Cup win, and even after jumping to the WHA later, his reputation in Chicago was sealed. Younger stars got the limelight, but none can match his pure scoring aura. Colorado Avalanche, Joe Sakic, 625 goals. Drafted by Quebec in '87, he remained the face of the franchise through its relocation to Colorado. Over 20 seasons, he scored 625 regular season goals, which was the most in Avalanche/Nordiques history. Sakic was known for his wrist shot, clutch playoff performances, and his leadership. He led Colorado to 2 Stanley Cups, earning the Conn Smythe Trophy in the process. Even after retiring, his influence continued. He transitioned to the front office and built the Avalanche into a modern powerhouse. Number 19 hangs in the rafters as a symbol of Avalanche greatness. Pittsburgh Penguins, Mario Lemieux, 690 goals. Lemieux is more than a goal scorer for the Penguins. He was their savior as a franchise. Drafted first overall in '84, he piled up 690 regular season goals for Pittsburgh over his career. Despite battling injuries, health issues including cancer, and the franchise's financial instability, he delivered excellence in nearly every season. He won 2 Stanley Cups as a player in '91 and '92, won multiple scoring titles, MVP honors, and produced stat lines that still resonate, most notably his 199-point season in '88-89. Lemieux later took over ownership, ensuring the franchise's survival. His goals were not just numbers, they were moments like game winners, comeback markers, and of course, clutch performances in the playoffs. In Pittsburgh, he's still beloved all these years later. And why wouldn't he? Because even though they've had stars like Jaromir Jagr and Sidney Crosby, Mario Lemieux is still the all-time leading goal scorer for the storied franchise. Detroit Red Wings, Gordie Howe, 786 goals. Mr. Hockey is synonymous with the Red Wings. From 46 to 71, he scored 786 regular season goals for Detroit. Howe combines scoring touch, toughness, and longevity, and by longevity, I really mean that because he played 26 seasons and retired in his 50s. He won 4 Stanley Cups with Detroit and 6 Hart trophies as league MVP. His influence stretched beyond his numbers. He embodied the spirit of hockey itself. Even decades later, his Red Wings goal record remains untouched, and there's a good chance this will just never be broken. So I mentioned this in another video, but I highly recommend his book, Mr. Hockey. And for the leading goal scorer in NHL history, Washington Capitals, Alex Ovechkin, 897. All of these goals were scored in a Washington Capitals uniform, making him not only the franchise leader by a vast margin, but also redefining what longevity, consistency, and elite goal scoring looked like in the modern era. Multiple 60-goal seasons, Stanley Cup, his powerful one-timer from the left circle, his play on the power play, and his ability to score in all situations. Despite changes in the game like faster goalies, tighter defensive systems, Ovechkin continues to score at a high rate, breaking multiple franchise and league records along the way, and that's just beyond his record of the most goals. And that's the list. At the time of writing, it's late September, so the NHL season is right around the corner. And some of these will change. There are a few active players on this list, and as I mentioned earlier, Austin Matthews will more than likely break the record for the Leafs, probably pretty early on in the season, as he is one of the best modern goal scorers and he just needs 20 goals to break the record. So maybe I'll make an update to this after the season. But besides him, let me know what other players you think have a chance to break their franchise's goal record. And if you enjoyed, I'd really appreciate it if you'd like and subscribe, as it really helps me out. Thank you for watching Hockey Domain. I'll see you next time.